Is the Ryzen 7 9800X3D CPU fast enough to unlock every bit of performance from the RTX 5090? Let's find out. To test this, we'll take a look at three scenarios. Just a normal AAA game that is not particularly CPU or GPU demanding, just an average title in 2025, a very CPU demanding AAA title, and a competitive game where we'll aim to achieve the highest FPS possible. By the way, I'm upgrading to the faster, low-latency CL28 DDR5 6000 memory by KingBank. That will allow us to ensure that there are as few as possible bottlenecks in this PC. If you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon and the links in the description below. There is no need to spend that much money on Windows 11 Pro when you can get it much cheaper at cdkeyoffer.com. Additionally, use discount code iVadim to get 25% off and bring the total price down to $22. Furthermore, you can find Windows 10 Pro as well as Microsoft Office at much cheaper prices as well. Get yours now at the link in the description below, and don't forget to use discount code iVadim to get 25% off. Let's start with the CPU-demanding AAA game, Cyberpunk 2077. Let's take a look at the settings. We are at 4K resolution, and we'll use the Ray Tracing Ultra graphics quality preset. And we'll start with DLSS quality mode. This is the latest and greatest DLSS 4 transformer model. That's turned on. And the only thing I want to change is field of view. Let's do 100 and turn off all of these nasty things. Motion blur, film grain, all of that has to go. Oh, and I forgot to turn off NVIDIA's reflex. Let's do that because it consumes a little bit of performance. That setting stops the GPU from being fully loaded, so it's gotta go. At least for this test. I mean, personally, when I'm playing games, I still use it because it reduces the latency and makes the gameplay smoother in most cases. Not all cases, but in most. So you have to try it out, just in case. But let's take a look at this performance, right? We're getting close to 90 FPS, and in this game, what stresses the CPU the most is the crowd density. At the moment it is absolutely maxed out, and we are getting dips to around 80 FPS in certain scenes, and we can see that the GPU is dropping down to around 90% utilization, which means that the CPU is actually bottlenecking this particular system. And once we enter a more populated area, we're getting dips to around 70+% GPU utilization. Wow, okay. But once that stabilizes, yeah, it can be fully loaded, so I guess it's not a complete disaster. Definitely not a complete disaster. This is still a pleasant experience. But it just shows that even maxed out graphics settings, ray tracing turned on, we still need a faster CPU. We could use a faster CPU paired with the RTX 5090. And we can actually see that in the CPU load as well, because sometimes it's jumping up to 80% utilization. The fastest CPU on the market, 80%, wow. And what happens if we want a higher frame rate, let's say a consistent 90 FPS? Is that possible? Let's use DLSS balanced to find out. In this case, the GPU isn't fully loaded either, but the FPS is higher. We are now getting 100 plus FPS in some scenes, and in other scenes it's staying above 90 pretty consistently. But let's enter the market and see, oh, 80 FPS, 78 was the lowest number I've seen so far. And once the performance settles down, yeah, it's an 80 plus FPS experience, and still dropping to around 70 plus in certain scenes. Wow, okay. So CPU is definitely bottlenecking this system right now. Oh my god, 68 FPS just then. That was crazy. Okay. Bear in mind that this is one of the worst case scenarios, and we could actually lower the crowd density manually in this game, but there are some games out there that are CPU demanding that don't have a setting that you can just turn off and reduce the stress on the CPU. Let's keep going. DLSS performance mode. Yeah, it's the same as the balanced mode. Same kind of performance, because the CPU simply can't produce more frames. So it doesn't matter how much you will lower DLSS quality, it's not gonna help. The only thing that will help is reducing that crowd density. Let's set it to the lowest setting, low. And right away the FPS shoots up. 130 over here, 120 plus. In other scenes, oh, we're still getting dips to 115, but the GPU is more consistently loaded now. Take a look at that. And the CPU doesn't have to work as hard. We're seeing above 120 FPS more often now. Although in the market, we're still seeing GPU utilization dips to around 90%, high 80% as well, 86. So it's not a consistent 120 FPS experience using this set of settings. It's just not possible, even with reduced crowd density. There are fewer NPCs, which doesn't stress the CPU as much, but it is still a very CPU demanding game, even on the crowd density lowest setting. We are definitely ready for a faster CPU. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a pretty well optimized game by 2025 standards. It is not particularly GPU demanding, nor is it particularly CPU demanding. It's just normal, average. That's why we're taking a look at it. 4K resolution, Ultra Graphics Quality preset, FOV set to 100, and DLSS is set to quality mode. In this game, the 9800X3D performs brilliantly. Well, take a look at this performance. 150, 160 plus FPS, and over here, above 200. Nice. The GPU is staying at close to 100% utilization. Yeah, very nice indeed. And we're getting dips to around 130 plus, so this is a consistent 120 FPS experience. We could just cap our frame rate at 120 and enjoy the game, enjoy the smooth frame rate. But if you don't want to do that, you can get higher frame rates. Let's see what we can do with it. Let's lower the resolution upscaling quality a little bit more. DLSS balanced. That gives us a little bit more FPS. 160 plus over here, 170 plus over there, and 143 over here. Beautiful. However, I know for sure that this is not the absolute maximum this CPU can produce in this game, so let's go ahead and lower that resolution quality even more. DLSS performance mode. We got another FPS boost, not a massive one, but still it is nice to have more FPS. Always nice to have more FPS. 155. Oh, 152 was the lowest number I've seen. So this is a true high refresh rate experience. Not quite 200 plus FPS like you would see in competitive games, but still, for a AAA game that looks good, wow, that's a lot of frames. And the CPU is doing very well. A few dips here and there, but that is normal. This tells us that in an average AAA game in 2025, the 9800X3D is fast enough for the RTX 5090, even if you like using DLSS performance mode to boost your FPS to well above 120. Lastly, let's take a look at a competitive game where we want as many frames per second as possible. This is Marvel Rivals. We are currently at 1440p, we'll take a look at 4K as well later on in this video. DLSS is set to performance mode, NVIDIA Reflex disabled, and the rest of the settings are set to the absolute lowest. To ensure that we're getting the most accurate reading, I turned off the overlay. I completely turned it off, so those apps are not even running in the background anymore. And look at this, 300 plus FPS, sometimes reaching 400. Nice, but I've seen it drop to 200 plus already a few times. Briefly, just like over there. But we'll take a look at the final report in just a moment, and in it we will be able to see which one is the bottleneck. Is it the CPU or the GPU? We will be able to find out in just a moment. And even like during heavy fighting scenes, mostly the FPS is staying at 300 plus. And now, the most intense fight, we see more dips to 200 plus, but overall, the experience is still very nice and smooth. Oh, 200 plus over there. We see that more and more. But this is a very heavy scene. Here is the report. Extremely smooth. Average FPS 348, 1% lows, 228, delay 28 milliseconds. Everything is in the green. And if we look at this performance chart over here, we can see that the GPU is marked in purple and the CPU is marked in yellow. Take a look at that. The purple, the GPU, is almost always at the top. So in most cases the GPU could produce more frames, but the CPU was holding it back. As a result, in this particular case, the 9800X3D is not fast enough to unlock every bit of performance from the RTX 5090. Now let's set the resolution back to 4K and let's use the ultra performance DLSS quality to maximize the frame rate. Even at this resolution, the settings remain the same, the lowest, to give us that competitive advantage. Let's see what happens. Oh, the performance is actually kind of similar to what we've seen with the 1440p settings. Slightly worse. I'm seeing more dips to 200 plus, but damn, this is still insane. There's more frames on the screen than this monitor can actually display, because this is a 4K 240Hz monitor. I haven't seen any 4K monitors with faster panels just yet. Maybe we'll get 360Hz soon, but this is the fastest panel on the market right now, 4K. And even on DLSS Ultra Performance mode, this game still looks decent. And, you know, as long as it gives us high frame rate, why not? Why not use that resolution upscaling feature? 300 plus FPS, but once again, we've seen quite a few dips below 300 right there. And the test is finishing up. Let's take a look at this. Extremely smooth. Actually, the performance is very similar to what we've seen with the 1440p setup. 337 average to 29 1% lows. And if we take a look at the GPU on that graph right there, you see this is a more balanced graph. We can see that the purple GPU is more in line with the CPU, yellow. Yeah, That's what we want to see. So for a 4K setup, this is actually a more balanced combo. Obviously, if we'll increase the resolution, upscaling even to balanced and increase the graphics quality to, well, let's say high, okay? We won't even use Lumen because that is expensive to run, but let's say we want to play this game on a higher setting, okay, with DLSS balanced. Let's see what that's like. In this case, the performance is at 200, sometimes dipping into high hundreds, 160, 180, 190. So the FPS is much lower, but it's still a pleasant experience. If you want to enjoy the visuals in this game, then you absolutely can. It looks good and it performs well. If 120 plus FPS is what you're looking for, then yeah, if you're not looking for that competitive edge, then you can still enjoy this game using this setup. But obviously the GPU is now the bottleneck, because we've seen that the CPU can produce way more frames. And the fact that we're seeing below 200 FPS, yeah, that just tells me right away that we are GPU limited in this particular case. There is no doubt about it. Let's see what this scene will bring. Will it drop below 150? No, actually, it's staying quite consistent. 160, 170. All right. Finishing up. And here's the result. Very smooth, but not extremely smooth. Average FPS, 187, 1% loss, 134. And as you can see on that graph, the purple line, the GPU, is well below the yellow line, which is the CPU, which means that we are quite heavily GPU limited. In conclusion, I must say that this was quite an interesting experience. One would expect that the fastest CPU on the market will be able to catch up with the fastest GPU on the market, right? This is still the best combo that you can buy in 2025, but it was interesting to see that in some CPU stressful situations, the 9800X3D is actually indeed not fast enough for the RTX 5090, which means that ultimately we are ready for faster CPUs. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? Quite interesting, right? If you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can get them on Amazon at the links in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to reward my work with a like, it helps out a lot, and I really appreciate it. Furthermore, subscribe for more videos like this if you haven't already. It was I, Vadim. Until next time.